Hey guys, today I decided to make a video about this huge ongoing global pandemic situation across the world. I hope everybody is following the rules and staying back in their homes in quarantine. Now, looking back to the last time was the beginning of 1918 pandemic. At that time also the fate was in the hands of people. Many countries across the world made choices. Some chose to proceed their normal lives and many others chose to lock down their places and stay in. And those countries who chose to take no action on it, a week later their hospitals were overrun and there were thousands of deaths due to this pandemic situation. Now, from this scenario, we have to learn and educate ourselves to deal with the current pandemic situation. Currently, a lot of countries have already taken many initiatives to deal with this pandemic, but still, unfortunately, many countries have not taken this pandemic situation so seriously. Now, being in quarantine means that we have a lot of time to learn and increase our understanding about the situation. And that's basically the purpose of me making this video. Now, there are certain common questions which are being circulated across the internet. And before I explain those questions, I would like to give you a brief about this virus. So a kind of a background about this virus. Now this virus, it constitutes the family of Corona They are enveloped viruses with positive sense single-stranded RNA genome and a nucleocapsid of helical symmetry. Now what is meant by positive sense single-stranded RNA? It means that they already have a sequence of all those nucleotides which they need for their processes of replication, for transcription, for translation, for the synthesis of their proteins. So they don't need any enzymes or any sort of proteins for these processes to happen. I can give you a comparison of negative sense single-stranded RNA, which is HIV virus. Now, in this virus, what happens is they need an enzyme called as reverse transcriptase for all these processes to occur. This coronavirus ranges from approximately 27 to 34 kilobases, and it is the largest among known RNA viruses. Now, why is it called corona? Is due to its appearance. Corona in Latin means crown. Now, these viruses have certain glycoproteins on their membranes, and they are club-shaped glycoproteins, which give it an appearance of crown. So that's the reason why it is called as coronavirus. So that was it with the background of this virus. Now let's start with the question. Now the first question which was asked is whether this virus is airborne. If not, what is the mode of transmission of this virus? Now this question is a politically charged question. And why is that? Is because, as we already know, that we have shortage of equipments, all those equipments which we need all across the world. But still, current understanding has been showing us that they have a droplet transmission. Which means that whenever an infected person sneezes or coughs, these droplets which come out from their mouth, they get into the air. After that, when a healthy person gets in contact with these droplets, he gets infected. Now, how these enter into our bodies? So they enter through our different cavities like oral cavity, nasal cavity, and they start colonizing in the mucosa of the pharynx. Now there is a thesis which says that it stays on the mucosa of pharynx for almost 15 to 20 minutes before it really enters those cells. Now during this time, if we gargle and drink warm water, I mean frequently we drink warm water throughout the day, there are very less chances that it infects us. And also due to the fact that they have heavy size has also proved that they settle very quickly. So they settle very quickly on different surfaces, and mostly they have been seen surviving on the metallic surfaces. So it is very important for us to sterilize all those metallic objects which we come in contact daily in our lives. Now the next question which is asked is about the symptoms. Most of the patients, almost 88% of them, come to the doctors with fever, and the next common symptom is coughing, and the next one is shortness of breath. And it has been seen that most of the young patients which come to the doctor, they come up with diarrhea, and later on they develop the respiratory disorders. Now the next question is, if this virus has an incubation period of 5 to 15 days, how can a person transmit it if he or she is asymptomatic? Now this question is a very interesting question. Why? Because when we say that a person is asymptomatic, we have to further elaborate it a bit and explain that there are still mild symptoms which people still show and which we don't even consider being symptoms in our day-to-day life, like mild coughing, rhinorrhea, and other mild symptoms. And the other thing we also need to understand here is that everything here depends on an individual's immune response, how strong his immune response is. because symptoms are not created due to the virus, but due to the immune response of that particular person to that viral particle. So immune responses vary from person to person, and they include all the age groups. Now the next question was about if, yeah, many people are claiming once weather gets hot, the virus won't survive and will get rid of it. Now, yeah, traditionally viruses don't survive in hot weathers. Reason being, they have a droplet transmission. So in hot weather, the droplets disintegrate. So viruses are kind of unstable in hot, humid weathers. Having said that, we cannot assume such things because it is something new and there is very less research done on it. Now we can take an example of high temperature zones like in the Middle East. There has been thousands of cases already there. So taking this assumption that hot weather is going to prevent this infection is totally absurd. Now the next question is about the age group susceptibility. Before I tell you which age groups are susceptible, we should start with the age groups which are not susceptible. So usually it has been seen that age groups under 10, they don't show any symptoms. The reason being that these who are under 10 don't express a receptor called as ACE2 receptor. This receptor is responsible for mediating infection, and that is the reason why they don't express any sort of symptoms. There has also been a case of an infant who was positive with COVID, but he didn't express any sort of symptoms. Now, rest of the age groups are all susceptible to this virus. And again, the severity of the symptoms vary from person to person depending on their immune system's response. Now, there are people who are having some chronic ailments like chronic diseases like diabetes, also the cardiovascular diseases like hypertensive diseases. These people who are with the comorbidities, they are highly susceptible to this infection. Also, those people who are above the age of 60 are also susceptible to this disease. Now, one more fact which I forgot about the transmission is that, which we all should be aware about. This research was recently done by China, and which shows that there are micro droplets. We have bigger droplets in the air which come due to the sneezing, but we also have certain micro droplets which even come out from your mouth when you are having a normal conversation. So when a person, an infected person, is having a conversation with a healthy person, these micro droplets can even come out from his mouth and infect the healthy person. This is the fact that why this virus is infecting so rapidly. Now, the second question which was asked about is about a medication called as chloroquine. This medication is an anti-malarial medication. Now, the question is whether this medication is effective or not. For that, we need to understand the mechanism of action of this medication. What this medication does is, as you can see on the picture, once the virus binds to the receptors of the mucosa, by the process of endocytosis, endosome is formed and it penetrates the lining and enters and once it enters the cell, it forms a phagolysosomic complex. A lysosome is not shown here in this picture, but a complex of lysosome and this phagosome is formed. Once this phagolysosome complex is formed, there is a decrease in pH, which makes it more acidic. Once the pH becomes more acidic, this nucleocapsid of the virus and other proteins, they disintegrate and the viral particle is released into the cytoplasm, and hence it starts its replication, and that's how it infects the cells. But this chloroquine medication has not yet been proven to be effective. So we cannot say that whether this, no doubt that this medication is used all across the world in different hospitals, but still there is not a concrete evidence which says that this medication is effective for this disease. Now, there are some other medications which we also can refer to, like we have remdesivir. This medication was used for Ebola. And this is actually an enzyme inhibitor medication. It inhibits RNA-dependent RNA polymerase, so it stops the process of replication. That's how it stops. And also we have certain medications which already had a clinical trial done by China, and it has already proven to be not effective. They are protease inhibitors, like ritonavir protease inhibitor. Now, the next question is about the preventive measures. Now, WHO has provided us with 5 basic steps for the prevention. The first one is washing our hands frequently for at least 15 to 20 seconds. The The second one is we do not have to touch our face at any cost with our hands. Also, when we are sneezing, we have to sneeze in our elbows so that those droplets, they don't come in contact with our hands. And also we have to maintain distance, 5 meter distance away from each other. Also, we can use different tactics, like we can close the taps with our elbows. We can use hand sanitizers when we go out, and many other things. Now that was it for the video, but before I let you guys go, I want to send my sincere gratitude to the healthcare working around the world. We could not have made it this far, and we will not get much further without you guys. Now also we have to fight this together. We have to fight this crisis together with a real commitment, and it needs a whole lot of patience. But we will get through this together, and we'll find a way back to the life which we used to live. Now public health and hospitals have done a lot for us. Now it's our turn to do our part. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I hope this helped.